Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having an amazing day today. So today I wanted to take a look for my top films on Friday for you folks. I like to do my top 10s and such. I thought it would be fun for me to do my top 10 domestic films of all time. And next week we'll do my top 10 foreign films of all time. Because there are some that are definitely top 10 normalies and so forth. And some that definitely dominate my list that tend to be foreign stuff like we've seen before. No spoilers as to what might be hitting. But you get that idea. So I thought it would be fun for me to bifurcate these into two separate lists and so forth. Last week I did my top 10 martial arts films, and next week I'll be doing my top 10 foreign films. So if you like this, definitely check those out. Also tomorrow I'm going to be doing my Serial Saturday for you folks, which is dedicated to the lost storytelling art of movie serials and TV serials, and so check that out if you're interested in following along. We'll be watching the Spider's Web, a huge hit, the biggest hit in the late 70s or 30s rather, and so forth. It's a black and white serial, so if you like that, check that out. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with number 10. Now my notes here are in 22-point font, so if you see me looking down and squinting and trying to figure this out, that's the reason why. This is 1980 independent film. It's the directorial debut by John Sayles. For you folks, it's called Return of the Secaucus 7. So I don't like to give spoilers for these, but basically the key idea here is that a group of hippies are coming back home after like a decade of being on the jobs and working around now in their 30s and so forth, and they're spending a weekend at home at a local place and so forth. And so this is a group of friends and so forth. It stars Bruce McDonald and Maggie Renzi. It was a hugely successful independent film. It's actually in the U.S. Register of Historic National Films and so forth because of how significant it was. It was heavily critical successful. Then it still stands up well. I think today I've probably seen it like 10 times. I love it lots. And that's John Sayles. Return of the Secaucus 7. All right, now number 9 for you folks is The Dark Knight by Christopher Nolan from 2008. An absolute classic to my mind. You need to see the first film and the last film too. I think it helps to set those things. It's the second film in his Batman series. Love it lots. It stars Christian Bale, Michael Caine, and Heath Ledger, who would win an Academy Award for his portrayal of Joker posthumously by the Academy. Well won. Absolutely worth it. Definitely owned that film. It's an incredibly strong take. Christopher Nolan's take of Batman is a more gritty and realistic thing, but less Tim Burton-esque. I think is definitely a strong idea. And so for nothing to Tim Burton, I just think it's a little colored at times. It doesn't always feel realistic. I mean, it's realistic compared to the 60s thing, absolutely. But I wouldn't say, compared to Batman Begins and this and The Dark Knight Returns, I wouldn't say that that's the same level of realism and grittiness and so forth. Everything that happens here in these films are realistic and could happen in our real world, which to me dials up the problems and the issues with it, right? Joker, absolute classic, love and lots. And that's The Dark Knight from 2008, the middle film of the trilogy by Christopher Nolan. All right, now number 8, get used to Christopher Nolan because he's going to hit again. This is Memento from 2000. It's the independent film by him and so forth. It stars Guy Pearce and Carrie Ann Moss in a beautifully done, absolutely done, classic to my mind and such. So basically the idea here, Guy Pearce's character is basically here, he is he no longer can take on short-term memories, only long-term memories, and so forth. And so he tattoos things on himself as he learns things about trying to chase down and revenge the death and find out who did it and that sort of a thing. And so he puts tattoos on himself in order to keep that information retained. So that is Memento by Nolan. It's told in different times and so forth. It's a real piece of art. Absolutely loved it. And that's by Christopher Nolan from 2000. Now number 7 is Bull Durham. It's the R-rated sports film set in the minor leagues. It's starring Ron Shelton. It's directed by Ron Shelton, and it stars Kevin Costner and Susan Sarandon. Also Tim Robbins too in a supporting role. I love it lots. I had a lot of my sports friends and a lot of folks online say that this was one of their favorite sports films. I actually saw it in a plane and so forth. That's one of the things I said, I'll give that a watch and see what I think about it. Absolutely love it. I think it's very strong. Now, it is an R-rated film, just as a heads up. So it's got a lot of language, a lot of sexual situations in it, sort of thing. It's for adults, but I absolutely love it. I think it's an absolute classic. Loved it lots. And that's Bull Durham, our number 7 film. And now the last one before our top 5 proper. And again, I said to get used to Christopher Nolan because it's going to be another Christopher Nolan film. This is number 6. It's his highest one. It's Inception. From 2010, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Ken Watanabe, and a big giant cast of other people too. This is the idea here is definitely, I think, his best film. The idea here is by playing with memory and so forth, we can sort of conceptualize ideas and so forth in different people. The basic ideas work well. I think it's a great sci-fi film. I think it's a great film. Again, it kind of like Memento, unlike The Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight rather. It plays with memory, it plays with time, it plays with things and such. Love it lots. So it's sort of like Memento meets The Dark Knight, only a better version. And so forth. So I like it lots. I think it's an absolute classic for those reasons. And that's number 6, Inception. Now, the top 5 time, we're going to move to a 90s action film. For you folks, it didn't make so much money. I mean, its budget was like 50 and it made like 70. So it's a little bit of a box office, but it's absolutely swan song. And a great return to form. A strong film by John Frankenheimer. It's called Ronin. For you folks, it stars Robert De Niro and Jean Reno, who had just come off of his previous films and such that you might know earlier that decade. Absolute classic. Love them lots. Ronin is a great action film. It has, in my opinion, the best chase scenes of any action film too. Love it lots. And so that's number 5 film, Ronin, by John Frankenheimer. Now number 4, we're back to John Sayles. This is the first John Sayles film I ever saw. Loved it lots, and that's why I've done a deeper dive into his bibliography. I've seen most of his films, absolutely love them, and so forth. In fact, I was really debating if a third film of his should make it onto this list earlier today, but it'll be making another list probably later on. So this is the 1987 historical epic Mate 1 for you folks. It's directed by John Sayles and stars Chris Cooper in his debut and James Earl Jones for you folks. Love it lots. So basically what's happening here is that this is set in 1920s West Virginia, which is my home state, and where I'm currently living. So I obviously love that. Talking about the Cold Wars era, when coal miners were trying to unionize and win that right, and were being fought against. And Mate 1 takes place in the city of Mate 1, which is also the site of the Mate 1 massacre, which this will tell. Love it lots. I think it's hugely. It actually was nominated for an Oscar award for best cinematography. Loved it lots. I wish it would have won. It's an absolute classic. Love it lots. So that's number 4, Mate 1. Now number 3. That's the last scoring independent film. It's Donnie Darko's from 2001 by Richard Kelly. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Jenna Malone among a big giant cast. A lot of people in there actually are people that have won Academy Awards or would win them later, and that sort of a thing. So absolute love it lots. It was one of my top recent sci-fi films too. It's an absolute treasure to my mind. The ideas here of what's happening. Again, no spoilers, but he is visited by a rabbit, and he's not sure if he's going insane or if the rabbit is actually he should be listening to it, or if it's something actually happening in real life. And so he starts down that path and so forth. But what winds up happening, I prefer the original film to the director's cut, because the director's cut spells out what's actually happening, and I don't like that. I prefer the nebulousness of the original one, just heads up. Alright, so that's number 3, and now number 2 is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Sorry, I put the entire trilogy here, had to, and so forth. Kind of like some of the previous films, this has a huge, giant cast from Viggo Mortensen, but we're basically, or to Elijah Wood, to Ian McKellen, that sort of a thing. Absolute Orlando Bloom put him on a map in a major way. So that's the Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson. Number 2 highest rating film, and actually it's a trilogy. Sorry, but I couldn't choose one. Sorry about that. But it was filmed up basically in one place, so I think that's fair to have it be one spot too. And it was one book that it was making. All right, so the number one film is the high-scoring superhero film, and my high-scoring MCU film, and my high-scoring film, and that's Black Panther. For Focus is from 2018 by Ryan Coogler. It stars Chadwick Boseman and Michael B. Jordan in what I think is his best role as Killmonger, the best villain, and so forth. So this is basically it's basically an Afrofuturistic view. Black Panther in a modern context in the Kingdom of Wakanda, and what's happening forever here. So basically, the ideas here, the Killmongers, Michael B. Jordan, absolutely love them lots. The ideas of following Black Panther and is into what's actually happening, and so forth, as he's moving on to the mantle shortly after his dad died in the previous film that introduced Black Panther, and the Captain America film, Civil War, and so forth. So I love it. I love what's happening here. I think it's absolutely fun stuff. And like, Mate One or Donnie Darko, it's got some stuff to say. It's not just a tune your brain out film. So I love that lots. Right? Even if I don't agree with the points that sometimes a film makes, I like that a film makes points, right? And so forth. And that sort of a thing. So I enjoy that. Alrighty, so that's my number one film, Black Panther. So here are my top 10 once again. For Area Focus, just briefly, number 10 is Return of the Secaucus 7. Number 9 is The Dark Knight. Number 8 is Memento. Number 7 is Bull Durham. Number 6 is Inception. Number 5 is Ronin. Number 4 is Mate One. Number 3 is Donnie Darko. Number 2 is The Lord of the Rings trilogy. And number 1 is Black Panther for you folks. All right, so there you are. So have you seen these films? What are your top 10 films, your opinions? What did you think about them? Would you put these in this order? What are your top 10 films of all time domestically? Again, next week I'll hit up my top 10 foreign films. That sort of thing, love odds. So if you enjoyed this, why not hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon if you're feeling frisky, be notified of my videos, and then also just watch this and let your friends know too. And again, go back and see my top 10 martial art film last week. Stay tuned to the top 10 foreign films next week and so forth. I'm probably going to do action films for 2 weeks. And then I also did Serial Saturdays tomorrow and that sort of a thing. I also try to do reviews of video games on Wednesdays rather, sorry. And so I just did Football Manager, reviewed a football series from set in the UK, so it's actually a soccer manager. Loved it. By many people. I'll also do a review of an RPG or a war game type thing on Monday. On Monday, I just did Castle Amber from the Dungeons and Dragons series, and that sort of thing. So I also try to do 3 reviews a week of older things that have heavily influential on our stuff too. In the genres I typically cover: horror, science fiction, and fantasy. Warrior folks. So there you are. If you liked it, again, the channel's name is The Worst Thing About New Books. It's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was they kept us from reading the old ones, right? And it's definitely lower classics and such. Even in this case you're watching, but you get the idea. They're heavily influential on our modern storytelling methods and that sort of thing. And there you are. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my videos, right? Because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it so very, very much. Thanks again, and have an amazing day.